when you look at all of these things that he is actively doing while he spends his time waving around a fucking picture of a gold-plated ballroom that he's building at the White House, when fucking Kristi Noem is getting 2 private jets for $180 million, when Donald fucking Trump is saying he's going to make our government, our Department of Justice, pay him some $230 million for trying to prosecute him for his fucking crimes. We are in the fucking Versailles period of French Revolution in terms of his disconnect from the needs of the people and his own fucking callous, self-aggrandizing wants. Hey, welcome back to one of our half-dozen viewers. Appreciate you stopping by. This week, I'm not entirely sure where this conversation is going to go. I just know it's going to go nowhere good. With me, once again, is Ryan to talk about the horrors well within our comprehension.
So where should we start for the shit show that is this week?
Well, I sort of had numbers memorized around the number of vessels that we've exploded in international waters, extrajudicially murdering a bunch of people. But they just keep adding them. I think we're up to 10 now, with the total dead over 40. 40 because we've added what, 2 or 3 in the last couple of days.
One was just today.
Yep. And then you've got Trump saying, well, we'll kill them on land too.
Yeah, I definitely have that written here as well. Like, reporting has shown, obviously, the president's own words, he said that they plan to do land airstrikes in Venezuela and Colombia, mind you, who are completely 2 sovereign nations that in any other world would be considered a declaration of war. It's not like when the Japanese just decided to do some airstrikes against the U.S. that we didn't go to war for 4 years with them.
Yeah, it's like I think it's a cornucopia of shitty things, because on one hand, we are killing people in international waters. We are killing them with what I can only assume is no intel, because knowing Hegseth, if there was intel, it would have leaked by now. So it's very unlikely that they were involved in the drug trade at all. But if they were involved in the drug trade, last I checked, that was not a capital crime. But even if that were a capital crime and they were involved in the drug trade, you would still have a jury trial and sentencing by a judge, all of which is denied to these people. They blow up one boat and 2 people survive, and so they just send them back to their countries. But they were important enough and the boat was bad enough that it was bombed, so why would we not take them into custody?
We literally have actual terrorists that we've, taken and put in Guantanamo. And it's just the proof. It's all the proof we really need to show that, like, they think they have a legitimate argument here by claiming that these people are Tren de Aragua and that they are terrorists. But that still doesn't justify any military, like, even in international law, there's nothing that justifies military action in this case. And like you said, yeah, obviously trading in, say if it was cocaine or something, like some heavy drug to America, that has to be within American waters. And last time I checked, ours doesn't go all the way to Venezuela.
Yeah. So, and you've got them saying that they're really not, you've got Congress saying they're not really being looped in. You've got all of the legitimate press kicked out of the Pentagon to be replaced by Mike Liddell's Pillow TV, Tim Pool, I assume OAN, Turning Point USA, which I did hear on Jon Stewart's podcast this week, One of the former Pentagon reporters referred to TPUSA as Talking Points USA instead of Turning Point USA, and I thought that was fun.
That kind of, yeah,
Uh,
that's pretty
and
good.
and so you've got no information about any of this. You've got them gleefully killing people, just killing people, and like it's a crime. I know that's passe to say, but it's a fucking crime. But I want to go one step further, and this is my hot take, and it may well get cut from this video on
We'll
editorial
find out.
review. If you're listening to this, it didn't get cut because I decided fuck it. I know that drug addiction is a disease. It's a scourge. It is bad for people. It is not something that's easy to control or easy to deal with. And I fully understand that. When we talk about drug cartels or just drug dealers, like they are terrorists, like they are killing millions of Americans, I think it's important to note that they are selling a product that Americans then willingly take. And that is the thing. We are acting like these drugs just snuck their way into everybody's cornflakes. And so we have to do something about it. No, these are people who have been abused and mistreated by the systems in this country to such a point that they are on drugs and they either don't want to get off or can't get off. And because of that, they are taking the drugs that other countries are smuggling in, that are smuggled in from other countries. And again, this is not like, it's not an attack on us.
May I also add something here, Andrew?
Don't know if it'll stay in.
I actually think that you're onto something here. So I think there's nothing wrong with keeping this because let's all. I also would like to remind the viewers that many of these drug cartels and the systems in which they are placed were helped, funded, and created by American agencies like the CIA. I mean, it's just like it's like the issue with like when we started fighting Al Qaeda, Taliban, all of them, they have history dating back to the CIA developing them to fight the Soviets. And in the cases of many of these countries, these are countries that had democratically elected governments who then were overthrown by cartels and right wing militias that were backed by our government because they didn't align with U.S. interests. Like many things in the world that plague the U.S., they are of our own making, and yet we do nothing to actually solve the problem. All we do is get upset at these countries for not getting their act together, as if we weren't the parent completely fucking up their childhood.
And I think it's also important to note that for the amount of money we are surely spending bombing these boats and scrambling aircraft carrier detachments, we could probably help people with their addictions at home, but Trump doesn't want that. And I want to be clear, he doesn't give a shit about drugs. J.D. Vance, who likes to say, oh, illegal drugs are what my mom was addicted to that got to her, that almost killed her. No, J.D. Vance's mom was a nurse who stole drugs from the hospital at which she worked. And J.D. Vance is a lying sack of shit. And more than that, he's fucking pathetic. J.D. Vance lies like he breathes, both of which are very awkward for everyone around him.
And also, I mean, this is clearly an extension on this all of this is very much an extension. It's not even about attacking the drug cartels. They're using it as a staging ground for regime change. Let's be honest. They don't like we've been at odds with the Maduro government since his first term, which to be fair, hey, I'm not defending the Maduro government.
Uh,
He is a dictator. He is not democratically elected. I mean, well, his last election was completely a sham, but mind you, our tariffs or our embargo and tariffs on Venezuela have only hurt the Venezuelan people, and I just want to, and also people need to understand that they're like, there's the thing. Here's the thing about the U.S. military. Obviously, yes, we have the most powerful military on the planet, but I don't think they understand that like Venezuela is the size of Germany and France combined. It's huge. We aren't going to get into there and not have major resistance, both from inhabitants or from local populations as well as their military. We're going to suffer quite a few American casualties. It's just funny that Americans overwhelmingly don't want us to be internationally involved. There's so many Americans who don't want us to be like the peacekeepers of the world, yet we are continually ran by people who just want to overthrow every government that disagrees with us at every turn.
Well, to be fair, uh, Trump wants a war because he thinks it means he can cancel elections. He thinks it means he can crack down on resistance at home. Hegseth wants war because his penis is small enough that you can't find it with all but the most powerful electron microscope. And
I didn't see that.
And Stephen Miller wants war because he's a racist sack of shit Nazi. And so, like, that's the reason. They don't give a fuck about drugs. They don't give a fuck about anything but their own little pet projects. And they'll watch Americans die. Get those. They don't give a shit. We already know this. Trump watched Americans die during his first term during COVID, when he refused to do anything about it, when he refused to treat it like a problem. And we've got the government shutdown, but we're building a fucking ballroom. We're fucking ready to wage war. We've got, just an absolute shit show. And it's like, I think something that is important to remember is that the most effective resistance against this right now is to mock those people in power. It is the one thing that we know hurts them. We saw how they flipped shit at Tim Walz just from calling them weird. We know how easy it is to get under JD Vance's skin. Joe clips of him fucking a couch. I mean, hey, listen, if we're going to have AI slop around, let's at least use it for good. There's, Stephen Miller is selling his home because people wrote on chalk on the sidewalk outside, which shows you how tough he actually is, despite the fact that he sat up on stage with Hegseth talking about how tough we were, how tough and strong they are. You don't know how tough we are. And, like, these people are fucking pathetic. And it's only sad in that we have to live with these people being in charge for now, and their attempts to be in charge for longer. It's disgusting, the state that we're in. And I think it's disgusting because all you have to do is look at any Senate hearing with a Trump appointee and watch their fucking dismissive, shitty attitude towards the people who are their oversight. Now, I will let you know, there is a senator from my state, Jim Banks, who ought to be removed from office because he had a nice little picture of, look what came from the White House today, and it was a Trump 2028 and a Trump 4 more years hat. And that fucking asshole, that sack of shit, that fucking carpetbagging dick, is all cheering about it, despite the fact that he swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. And that fucking Trump 2028 hat is a fucking direct violation of the 22nd Amendment. And listen, what's fucked up about Indiana is that it's somewhere around 45% Democrat. And yet somehow we have 2 out of 8 of the House seats. And they're considering gerrymandering those 2 away.
Same here in Missouri.
And they will spread themselves thin if they do that. So they have been very hesitant, despite the fact that J.D. Vance keeps fucking showing up in our state to try and convince lawmakers to do it. It is frustrating's a word. It's not sufficient.
It's not strong enough.
No, it is one of those things that makes you want to run for office, a thing I have considered more than once in this state.
You don't have any. You didn't get any Nazi tattoos on your chest, right? While you were over in, Europe stationed, right?
Well, I was never in Europe, haven't been stationed there. I have no tattoos that I'm aware of.
Well, I'm just saying, we got to pick our best now, guys.
Listen, I only say that I have no tattoos I'm aware of because there is an episode of King of the Hill where Hank finds out he had Bill's name tattooed on the back of his head. And while I don't believe that happened to me, I will not rule it out.
No.
Now, listen, I want to say my piece on Graham Plattner. And I'm going to be real with you. I have multiple degrees. I have a minor in history. I would not have known the Totenkopf was a Nazi thing. I wouldn't. And all these people who are all online like, oh, you're telling me he didn't know what the Totenkopf was? The third most popular fucking symbol? Like, sir, it's not the SS bolts. It's not the fucking eagle. It's not the fucking swastika. Don't sit here and say you fucking knew what that was. Because you're probably full of shit.
Most people... You're right. Most people only know about the swastika and the SS bolts.
Like, so...
I mean...
So miss me with that bullshit. I can fully see him not knowing that was a Nazi thing until someone saw it. And
also,
do I think
happened, I mean, like,
yeah, do I think maybe at some point after that he might have known? Maybe. But the tattoo was very dark, very thick, which means it's hard to cover up, which also means it is a long time process to get removed. And I find it weird that, say he knew it were a Nazi tattoo. Why would he be shirts off singing at a Jewish person's wedding? And then why would he give that video to podcasts? And then, if he did know and he had done this all as some sort of dog whistle, saying, hey, trust me, I'm a Nazi, why would he then go get the tattoo covered up? None of these steps sort of mesh well together. And so, yeah, he's got some shitty Reddit posts, but I feel like his explanations, I mean, I don't post on Reddit. Okay, it's not true. Back when I used to play Destiny 2, I did post on the LFG when I was trying to hit a raid up. But
you play Destiny 2? Well, we can't run you for office. That sucks.
We absolutely can. I was a warlock, okay? I was a warlock, best class, space mage. But, like, listen, I'm not in Maine, so it's not up to me to say. But do I think we, as a group, need to be willing to forgive people who have clearly stated what they did wrong, who have like, hey, I made some Reddit comments. I had PTSD from my tours in combat. I wasn't getting the help I needed. Once I got the help I needed, that's not who I was anymore.
Exactly.
Like, I think that's important for us to do because I've seen so often, and it comes from especially the like terminally online left, is that they will see someone make the smallest mistake. Not Graham Plattner, like bad tattoo on the chest, but like just fucking accidentally misgender someone or fucking use the wrong pronouns or fucking talk to people in a tone that seems condescending, and then they'll just cancel that whole person's existence. And I get that's not the party at large on the left, but it is. Online people of the left like to do that. And we can't do that. If people apologize, if they don't know, you have to give them space to grow and learn and to come back. And that's just really, really important, because if there's no like off-ramp, when people apologize for bad conduct, they're going to not apologize for that conduct. They're not going to try to be better because there's no benefit to doing that.
Again, we're not talking about fairly heinous things. We're talking about pretty minor shit. Come on, guys.
I mean,
People
Maine
can
will,
apologize.
yeah. I mean, Maine will make the decision they will make. Um, and as always, whoever the nominee is needs to be supported. And that's the line. That's the end of it. It's up to the people of Maine to decide who they think has the best shot of unseating Susan Collins. And that's their decision to make.
Right. I mean, we are we're at a crossroads in in the U.S. here, U.S. history. I mean, this is existential to us as a nation. We can't be purity testing every minor thing a person does. If these are people who seem genuine of heart and they actually want to stop this Republican Party and this president, we need to invite them in. Once the threat's gone, we can start scrutinizing
I
if
think,
need be.
listen, one of my all time favorite movies is V for Vendetta. Having watched it recently, it is unsettling to say the least. And we're getting to the point. So there's sort of the point towards the end of the movie where Inspector Dascom is like, last night I went back to Luck Hill and I felt like I saw it all sort of laid out in front of me, all the way from one thing to another to the end. And like, I can see dominoes click into place for some very bad things. And it is up to us as a nation to not let those bad things happen. The rise of fascism in the US would be catastrophic for the world.
I mean, America has been fairly fascist leaning for quite a long time, and historically. But, most people obviously want to fight against something like. I think the problem I have right now too is that every we live in such an environment. Everyone is being bombarded with things all of the time, and I can't. I mean, I want to scream at the people who don't pay attention because they're worried about the fact that healthcare premiums are going to rise or are rising. They're worried about the government shutdown. I mean, hell, we're about to lose. The USDA is about to stop being able to fund food stamps. I mean, it's the fact that these people, that majority of the nation, and by majority I mean only like 54% or whatever it is, voted for Donald Trump under this
Ooh, ooh,
idea that what.
nope. It is absolute. First of all, it is not a majority, it's a plurality. He hit less than 50%.
Sorry,
Second, that was
was
only
oh
50%.
sorry,
That was only less than 50% of voters. There was still about a full third of the country who just flatly didn't vote.
you're right. My bad. Thank you for the correction. I forget that the number of people who vote is not certainly the entirety of the nation by any means,
I feel like
because that's
things might be better
ignoring.
if it was.
True, but that's ignoring a lot of people who can't vote, don't vote, you know. But yeah, because yeah, he actually had less than 50%. You're correct of the voting population. Um, but the point is, so many Americans did vote this man in under this idea that it would fix the economy, and we've seen how this is just going to get worse for the average American. I mean, I don't like that that's the thing that's going to be necessary to rile people up to be against the government. I would want people to be like us and actually want to fight them just for ideological reasons and morality reasons, because we're fighting a morally evil government. But I guess beggars can't be choosers. I don't know.
I I try not to be black pilled because there is no There's no good in that. But my worry is that, like, we often talk about the consequences of voting for Trump like touching a stove. Like, at some point, they have to touch the stove. But that feedback's immediate. The feedback is right away. You touch a stove, and it is the touching of the stove that does it. But the media ecosystem is so shitty and diluted that, like, they spin so much of it that getting that one-to-one connection is difficult, and getting the people who don't pay attention to pay attention and understand what's wrong is such a challenge that most media is just not up to doing. They don't give a fuck to do. And so we all have to sort of make sure that we are constantly saying what is happening and why it is happening. Because we have to be the media that the media is too afraid to be. Just again, the government is shut down. Mike Johnson has, again, he's canceled votes for Monday next week. So he is bound and determined to spend most of his time cruising Grindr instead of doing any actual work. He has to use his burner phone from that because otherwise his Covenant app would alert his son to the fact that he's on Grindr. But like, he's just going to keep it shut down until he is forced to not do that. And I think we're working on a solution, right? I feel like we've got bits and pieces of a response, but we're not there yet. We're not cohesive yet. And I think when you look at something like the No Kings protests, which were last weekend, when you look at that second round, we were at north of 7 million people. And that 7 million people is just there out of their opposition to Trump and his government. And that number may get a little higher, but I think on opposition alone, it probably won't get much higher. And so I think you also need to give people something to believe in, something to want to fight for that is more tangible than democracy, than the vague concept of democracy to them. And that requires vision, and that requires bravery, and that requires, like, there's this big discussion about what is politically possible for the left. And there are very real limitations. We know that the Senate is a hell of a thing to get the majority, and let alone a filibuster-proof majority. You know that the House is an uphill battle, and they're actively trying to make it more of an uphill battle through redistricting. But I think we often get bogged down in the idea of strictly what is most likely to occur. And so we ground our expectations of policy and rhetoric in the idea that our power will never be so great as to get anything great done. But if we look into the past, into the recent past, on when we actually got big things done, we need only look to Barack Obama and the ACA. He was such an inspiring candidate. He was running such a good campaign with good promises and good rhetoric and energy that he gave us a filibuster-proof majority in the Senate. A candidate with that energy and that fire and that vision can do that again, especially when we are looking at an economy that is not doing well unless you're an AI company or a chips company. When we look at a economy where our soybean farmers can't sell their soybeans because of Trump's fucked up trade wars, just like last time he was in. When we look at when we look at the one where the beef farmers are also having their fucking issues and Trump doesn't give a shit about that. When you look at all the people who go hungry from food stamps going away, when you look at all the people who won't be able to afford their health care because the subsidies are going away, when you look at all of these things that he is actively doing while he spends his time waving around a fucking picture of a gold-plated ballroom that he's building at the White House, when fucking Kristi Noem is getting 2 private jets for $180 million, when Donald fucking Trump is saying he's going to make our government, our Department of Justice, pay him some $230 million for trying to prosecute him for his fucking crimes.
Which is illegal.
We are in the fucking Versailles period of French Revolution in terms of his disconnect from the needs of the people and his own fucking callous, self-aggrandizing wants.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you need is a figure on the other side who inspires hope, who gives people something to believe in, who says, no, we can do more. We are the richest, most powerful country on the history of the earth. And we have a lot of work to do to fix what he's done. But we're going to start by fixing it here at home, by making sure that people here are taken care of first. And then we should reinstate all of the USAID funding that we cut, because some 14 million people worldwide will die without that funding. For what is pennies for us. And that soft power of us helping people across the world keeps us safer. If you just want to be cynical and don't give a shit about whether people live or die, people liking us makes us safer.
Yep.
And so we're in an environment where we have all of the rage against him on the left. And I think there's a time when people further on the left need to understand that going and protesting a Democratic politician or a Democratic ex-politician is not worth anything right now. They have no power in government. But these people, and this will ruffle feathers if they listen, which they won't because one of our 6 viewers is not there. But if these people really believed in the things they're outraged about, you'd see them at a fucking Trump rally. You'd see them outside a Republican Senate office or Congress office. But you don't, because they are afraid to voice their opinion where they'll get actual pushback, where they might not be safe. But fucking hats off to all the people standing up to ICE all across the fucking country. In Chicago, in fucking LA, in fucking every part of this country, where people are looking at these masked, unidentified people.
Thugs.
Just thugs who are racially profiling and picking people up, who are shooting people indiscriminately, who are lying about every interaction they fucking have, who are tear gassing peaceful protesters, shooting rubber bullets and pepper pellets at fucking priests praying and doing nothing. We've seen the images. We've seen how fucked up it is. And there are people who go out there every goddamn day and protest against it knowing they are at risk. And those people, those are the fucking people who have it. Those people don't show up at the fucking local Democrat's office to yell at them when they're trying to do a town hall. They show the fuck up where it matters when it matters.
We're not even a year in. And things always, it always gets the darkest before dawn. But I do fundamentally think we will weather this storm. But to do that, it requires courage. And it requires knowing that there's going to be pain in this fight. But hey, if you want to go online and just bitch on Twitter and then do nothing, I can't stop you, I guess. But that doesn't mean I have to listen to your opinion.
At this point, we look to leaders. I think you have different people trying to rise to the top on the left. I think you've got different approaches, and I think those will bear out to see which is best. You've got Newsom, who I think talks a good game. He's got a great social media team. And
There's merit. There's merit to some of it, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's the perfect choice by any means.
right, people don't like California governors unless they're Republican.
True.
Reagan, rotten hell, you sack of shit. Um, you've got J.B. Pritzker, who has been out there every day talking the game, doing what he can, fighting in court, opening up a commission to track what federal agents are doing in Illinois to make sure that when this is over and when someone is in power federally, that they have all the information they need to go after people who committed crimes in that state. You've got Letitia James doing roughly the same thing. And all of these people are fighters, and we will figure out what cream rises to the top. Now, I am partial to Pritzker because I think there's a lot of, I know people will be like, oh, he was on the AIPAC board, and people are like, oh, he's a billionaire. But to be clear, Pritzker's family are Jewish refugees. He has built Holocaust museums. He understands a history there. He campaigned to raise his own taxes in the state, which was rejected by the state legislature. Like, I think there was some merit behind when people were like, oh, like, I don't think there was merit around Trump, but I think there was merit.
No.
When people said a billionaire is less apt to be bought or bribed. And I think that is truer of Pritzker. I think he has very much FDR vibes. He doesn't seem like he wants more money. He seems like what he wants is for people to be better off. Genuinely, that seems like the thing he wants. It's the way he governs, it's the way he acts. And, like, listen, I've watched a lot of his speeches. I've seen him talk. I've seen him answer questions. And I would follow that man into the breach. Now, my hope is that Trump's continued bullshit pushes him more into media focus because they're generally focused on Gavin because he was the first place where resistance was at. But
it's California. Everyone expects it there.
But yeah, I mean, Pritzker is a Midwest governor. He's not afraid to say shit how it is. He shows up where it's at. He shows up to protests. He marches in the streets.
Like you said, right now, there are a lot of wonderful people truly trying in this big tent resistance. Like you said, Letitia James, J.B. Pritzker, we got Tim Walz, we have, like you said, Newsom. We still have people like, I know that a lot of leftists are always stupid about it, but we still have AOC, and she's still a wonderful fighter who believes and tries. And we also have Mamdani now. I love seeing people more our age getting involved too. I know I say our age like we're young, but I mean early 30s is for a lot. That's pretty much the only time you can kind of start doing stuff in government is in your 30s.
Speak for yourself. I'm mid 30s now.
Okay, whatever. 33 to 35.
I am on death's door. And as a millennial, my retirement policy is the collapse of the system. Unfortunately, I really wanted that to be around retirement age.
Well, we'll rebuild. You know it. The party, obviously, we don't want to keep being a government that's run by the oldest of our generation. We need more of our generation and younger to be more active, but we've seen that. The fight is there, so we just have to keep hope.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is every day. So when and Ryan, you know this, and people watching may or may not know, some of you know me, so I'd wager all of you know me, but cool if you don't. Welcome to the show. When my mom and brother and dad died, all really in close proximity, my mom and brother within a month and my dad less than a year later, all you can do when things are bad. You can either just keep going or you can fall apart. And just keep going is the long option and is the difficult option, but it's the only one worth doing. You take each day as it comes. You take each step. You try not to become numb to the things around you. And you try to understand that each day you move forward, you are moving closer to something better if that's what you are trying to get to. And that's where we are as a country right now. We need to understand that this is a period brought on by a lot of problems in the systems around us that need to be fixed, that need to be made better, that need to be made whole. And it is simply our job to make sure that we see those changes come about. I think that's our responsibility, and I think it's what needs to be done.
Absolutely. It's not great.
No. Anything else you want to talk about from this shitty week, or?
I mean, I think we covered pretty much all of it. I mean,
Political prosecutions, the corruption.
I mean, it's just the fact that our peace president, wanting war every second, and the fact that we do our democracy based on who is willing to, kiss his little dick, and and those who fight back are, sanctioned, like President Petro of Colombia, but I know we generally stay away from foreign stuff. It's an extension of how our government operates, because we're just running under a kleptocracy. It just it's one thing after another,
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, this is whether or not they knew it, and I would argue that plenty of them knew it. This is what people voted for.
Unfortunately.
And I think it is gonna take those people understanding they made a mistake and doing something different. It's gonna take all of us being unwilling to bend the knee, and at the very least, being openly vocal about what you believe and about what's happening and about how it's wrong is an important step of making sure that the media and narrative control that they want so badly is denied to them.
You're right. So, for the 6 people or so that watch us,
hey, we got 12 last one.
All right, if they just spread that to one or two other people, it multiplies.
Okay, listen, everybody, if you're watching, if you just recruit 3 friends to watch this, and then each of them recruits 3 friends, and then each of those people recruits 3 friends, we're not asking for any money. We are not asking for any money. So just, treat this like an MLM and just rope people into this 40 some odd minute discussion.
Exactly. Just spread the revolution that, from one person to the next person.
And if you see us on the streets, you can signal us by making the sound of a dying giraffe.
Hey, you know what? At least South Park is still I mean, South Park shits on everybody, but at least they're still going hard and they're not pulling punches. I love it.
Why would they? They're billionaires.
No, but funny enough, wait, who owns South Park? Is that CBS? That's Paramount, isn't it? Wait,
yeah.
that's CBS, yeah.
I do think Trey and Matt. I think Trey and Matt still own it. So I think even if the network was like, but even if the network was like, oh, you're done, they'd be like, okay, I'll just go on YouTube. I'll start a fucking Patreon.
Dude, they'd make so much more money too if they did, actually. But yeah, no, I mean, it's just it. This is the state we are obviously in that state as well. That we shouldn't have comedians to be the voice of reason. That's not their job. But when you're fighting a king, you kind of need to be led by jesters when everybody else is too afraid to fight.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, probably my closing thing, because this one is running longer.
True.
I've not discussed it enough, but Jon Stewart could throw his hat in the ring. That man understands the problems. He understands how to speak to people. He knows how government works. He understands where we're at. And if he would just put his fucking hat in the goddamn ring, John, I know you're one of our 12 watchers. Get your shit together, man. Get in the game.
People have been asking him to get involved since the mid 2000s, and he refuses.
His denials have gotten much less denially lately.
True.
On his podcast with Mehdi Hassan, Mehdi was like, "Hey, John, you know what? Are you going to put your hat in the ring?" And he didn't say no. He just hemmed and hawed and avoided the question.
Yeah, I think he's getting to the point now that maybe he realizes it's, maybe he needs to get involved. I mean, hell, fucking Colbert's not really doing anything either. Maybe he needs to get involved.
Because, like, I think there was this part of, and I watched the Weekly Show podcast, which is, I think, only slightly less successful than us on this podcast.
At least, yeah.
And, like, he really dives into the meat of an issue, but, like, when you watch his interviews with, like, Ken Martin, the head of the DNC, like, you can tell he's extremely frustrated with how things are going. He doesn't like that the left is not putting up a fight. And I think he's starting to realize that he can't just hope other people hop in the ring. There are not many people with his reach or his voice or his clarity. And listen, I'm ride or die for Pritzker, but if Jon Stewart's in the fucking ring, Jon Stewart's getting my fucking vote.
Absolutely. I also think a lot of his frustration comes with whenever you see any of these interviews with leaders on the left, and that's not and I'm not here necessarily to skewer necessarily, the head of the DNC or Senator Schumer or Representative Jeffries. It's just that they obviously you can't say what the problem is, which the problem is they actually don't know what to do. And so instead they just get up there and they bullshit. But at the end of the day, we all know they don't know what to do to fight back, or at least from their perspective, from their place. And that's why we need people like Jon Stewart, who know that what the way we need to go, even though others are afraid to take that route.
Yeah.
Or less decisive about it.
Yeah, because I think, like, when you look at the No Kings March, it's like 7 million people. That's a group of people waiting to be activated, waiting for someone to say, here's what I need you to do so we can get out of this. And if someone can tap into that, they're going to make Obama's ground game look like selling Girl Scout cookies. It will be insane.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because the thing is, the thing about the No Kings March is that I find compelling both the first and this last time, which has had more people, is they're not really super organized, yet they're managing to get millions of people across the country. If you have, like you said, if you have a movement with actual people leading it, going on TikTok, going on these places, pushing the movement forward, you'll have, not only will they have better cohesion, we're going to naturally recruit more people as it goes along.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm with you on that one.
I mean, hey, there are things to be depressed about, but there's also hope, because we have to keep being hopeful. So if I can find those fucking silver linings where they are.
Exactly.
I think that's it for us. You've now sat here for at least 50 minutes if I've not cut this too badly. So, as always, thanks for joining us. Take care of yourselves. take care of each other, and we will theoretically be back next week, although I have been really bad about doing this consistently.